Good morning. I'm Eric Blank, and this is the Commissioners' Weekly Meeting for June 4th, 2025. Commissioner Gilman, any preliminary matters? Are you ready to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Good morning. I would vote to approve the consent agenda.
Commissioner Plant,
Good morning. I'd vote to approve the consent agenda as well.
as would I. Mr. Eden, Ms. McLaughlin, 24A-0442E.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Erin McLaughlin, Commission Counsel. As you know, this Just Transition Solicitation Electric Resource Plan hearing is scheduled to begin next Tuesday, June 10th. As agreed to by the consensus schedule adopted by the Commission's January scheduling order, the parties filed a proposed cross-examination matrix on March 30th, which was last Friday. This included approximately 89 hours of party cross for the 9 reserved days of hearing. The anticipated time, which would have required at least 10 hours each day, did not include time for commissioner questions, breaks, or rebuttal, or any other necessary housekeeping generally required in hearing. As indicated in the notice on March 30th, the company did file an update late yesterday that reduces cross to 68 hours, not accounting for commissioner questions, rebuttal, or procedural matters. And while the company recognizes that this still doesn't fit the allotted time for hearing and that continued efforts will be made to lower the cross times, we believed it was worthwhile to raise this item today for discussion to encourage the company and parties to continue further efficiencies for next week's hearing. And if commissioners agree, we would suggest proactively eliciting a follow-up filing by noon on Friday. The Commission has flexibility in how it conducts its hearings. Past proceedings have had success with panel discussions or grouping items by topic. We would note here that the company's rebuttal testimony includes some significant shifts from prior positions. This includes, for example, updating its proposal with regard to the conforming bid policy. Particularly where rebuttal was filed May 23rd, the Commission could signal not only its interest in a further revised matrix, but that it would be willing to have panel cross or specific topic discussions later in hearing if the company and parties would find that beneficial. Commissioners can discuss today if there are any finer points that they'd like to raise for the parties, and we would suggest directing that conferral filing by noon of Friday of this week, and the company can include if there are any proposed further efficiencies that the parties agree would be useful. That filing would allow the Commission to be aware preemptively of any of these proposals and aim to take them up at the beginning of hearing if needed. So with that opening, I'll open it up for your discussion, and if you'd like an ABC order from today's conversation.
Yeah, I strongly support your suggestion and was thinking along similar lines. I also agree with the idea to defer to the parties, but might throw a couple suggestions out there. Given the changes in the rebuttal testimony, I'm wondering if we should give one witness from each party. Maybe we could, as one idea, give each party a few minutes to respond to the company's rebuttal testimony before being made available for cross. Another approach might be to have the parties submit a brief response to the company's rebuttal testimony early next week before the hearing. That might help the company and the commissioners to better focus our questions on the key unresolved issues. One thing on the panels, I think the IPP issues and the model contracts may be really well suited to some kind of panel idea. I was one thought that struck me was we could ask the company, or the company and the IPPs may want to work together to submit a single document identifying the remaining open issues, with each side, helping us understand their position. Maybe instead of the usual lawyer cross, we might set up a panel of IPP and company experts to go through the open issues one by one. Again, I'm not trying to decide it or order it, but just throw those ideas out there for the parties to try and streamline the hearing. So, Commissioner Gelman, thoughts, comments, anywhere you'd like to go?
Thanks, Ms. McLaughlin, and I'm supportive of putting out an order and trying to get some comments and ideas on this. I'm supportive of encouraging response on most of the issues we've heard. I know we've done some panel in the past and it worked quite well. It's certainly a time savings and not kind of being batted around from witness to witness and the time that's involved in that. And so certainly, I'd be very interested to hear if they're interested or accepting of a method like that to really try and rein in the timing here and make this all more efficient. But and I guess Chairman, when you say early next week, that's like only Monday, right? I mean,
Yeah, but the parties, I'm thinking the parties won't be crossed until the
all right.
following week or late. So I think Mr. Eiley had 3 days across alone. I think there will be time to process it.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's tough to figure out what to do about some of the more major changes on rebuttal and what the other witnesses may need to say. And it's tough, I think, to consider adding extra time and extra process when we're already short on time is kind of the problem here fundamentally, but also acknowledge like the issue that those witnesses are going to need some opportunity to discuss.
Yeah, as I started reading the rebuttal testimony and trying to prepare for hearing, it was like I really wanted to know how the parties reacted to what the company did. So,
Okay.
but Commissioner Plant, any thoughts, comments, guidance
Of
for us?
just real quick. So it would be like an invitation that if they
Yes.
want to
Yes.
provide any just like brief description on if their issues are resolved or if they're still at odds on
Yeah.
the issue,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Not
Thanks.
looking for
Sorry.
thousands of more pages of written material to process in 2
Yeah.
days.
Okay. Thank you.
I know it's an invitation. There's no order here. It's just just throwing ideas out and see if they want to take them up or not, and not trying to trample on anybody's due process rights. Commissioner Plant, thoughts?
Yeah, no, I also, would invite the parties to sort of think about the suggestions that you put out there, Mr. Chairman. I think those are good ideas, and whatever would work best for the parties and help to make it a streamlined process that gives everybody their full opportunity to question the witnesses and provide evidence. I think it's worth it to throw it back out there and ask for other ideas and other suggestions. So I support that.
All right. And while I got you guys, just one other thing. And again, this would be an invite, but I'd say I'd welcome an update about the status of the company-owned thermal resources that were previously approved. I don't think we've heard from the company in 2 or 3 months, and just it would be helpful for me to see the latest starting point as we consider adding more resource. So I'd be curious to know how many combustion turbines the holding company has available for potential installation in Colorado beyond what was approved in 2021, and if the company could let us know in whatever they file Friday, if that's possible during the hearing, that'd be great. So do you guys have any concerns if we ask for an update in the order?
You're basically asking for an update on the CEP like
Yeah.
resources, which I'll say they're kind of approved in phase 2, but the CPCN is.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. If that, yes, you don't want to overly approve more than we have.
Just to confirm what
Yes.
we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
You
think
okay
it's
with
fine
that?
to see if there's a
Yeah.
status update.
Yeah. Commissioner Plant.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right. Ms. McLaughlin, if you can do an ABC order sooner rather than later, that'd be great.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Ms. O'Neill, Dr. Bongiardina, outage and customer care.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Erin O'Neill with your fixed utility staff. We're going to start with the discussion, kick it off by Mr. Bongiardino. So, Nick, if you're out there, can log on.
Good morning, commissioners. I'm Nick Bongiardino with your fixed utilities staff. So we're here this morning to discuss the TBC order opening an M docket for reporting after the conclusion of 2 staff investigations. Just to recap, so on September 16th of 2024, the commission issued decision number C24-0668, opening proceeding number 24I-0394E, in the matter of the investigation into recent outages on the Public Service Company of Colorado electric system. On April 30th of 2025, staff of the commission provided 2 presentations at the commissioners' weekly meeting. The first was the results of the investigation into those outages, and the second was a parallel investigation into customer care and billing issues for public service, also in 2024. And then finally, on May 14th of 2025, staff proposed that the commission open a miscellaneous docket and require public service to report on certain metrics related to its customer service practices and updates to its outage log. That recommendation was approved as a TBC order, and we're here to present that today. So a brief discussion of what was in that order. On May 14th, the commission voted to open that M docket to receive quarterly reports from public service. As part of that vote, the reports were to include metrics related to auto disconnection of customer calls, monthly billing issues, customer care staffing levels, and responsiveness to PUC customer affairs complaints. Also, as part of that vote, the reports will include a complete version of the company's outage log pursuant to commission rules going back to 2015 with additional reporting criteria. The specific metrics that the commission voted on in both of these areas are in the order, and I'm happy to go over them if you guys would like to, but I can continue for the moment. And then lastly, the order directed staff to work with commission counsel to explore whether emergency rulemaking would be an appropriate way to address some of the issues brought up in these 2 investigations. So I can pause here for any questions or discussion on any of those items, or I can continue on to a few decision points that we have for you guys today.
If you can go to the decision points and then we'll come back.
Sounds good. So we'll have 3 matters for you all to vote on today. The first is when public service will be required to file its first report in this M docket. The second is whether to sunset this reporting requirement. And then the third is regarding the commissioner's desire to solicit public feedback about what quality of service means to the public. So on that first matter, the matter of when public service will be required to file its first report. Staff recommends modifying the due date from the initial vote on May 14th, and we recommend that we require the company to file its first report covering Q1 and Q2 of 2025, no later than July 31st of 2025, and thereafter, the company would be required to report quarterly within 30 days of the end of the quarter. This is to give the company sufficient time to make this first filing, given the lag time between when the initial vote on this order happened on May 14th, this week's CWM, and any additional delay for when the final order is actually filed on this matter. So yeah, that's our recommendation. I'll pause here for any questions or discussion on that one.
Makes sense to me. Commissioner Gilman,
Yes, I agree.
Commissioner Plant,
I also agree.
keep going.
Fantastic. So next, we recommend that the commission sunset this reporting period after the report for the second quarter of 2027. So that's about 2 years from now, at which point the commission can reevaluate whether this reporting needs to continue. Given the timeline on other actions the commission is interested in to address the challenges brought up in the 2 investigations, such as a quality of service rulemaking proceeding, it makes sense to sunset this reporting requirement after mid-2027, and we can revisit whether we want additional reporting at that time. I will again pause here for any discussion, questions.
Commissioner Gilman,
I agree.
Commissioner Plant,
I agree.
as do I.
Fantastic. For the last matter, I will pass it off to Ms. O'Neill.
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, Erin O'Neill, Deputy Director of Fixed Utilities. At the previous discussion, Commissioner Plant proposed that the opening order for this proceeding include a request for input from stakeholders. In particular, Commissioner Plant expressed interest in soliciting feedback regarding what consumers consider to be adequate service, seeking a better understanding of customer satisfaction. At this time, staff proposes to continue to work with the three of you to further develop this idea, but not to include any specific request to stakeholders at this time in this opening order. Staff suggests that it would be better to keep this opening order focused only on the utility reporting requirements and let us get this order issued in a timely fashion and allow for a more thoughtful discussion of Commissioner's Plant's interest in customer satisfaction metrics. So advisors recommend that this order direct utility reporting as described by Dr. Bongiardina, that we continue internal discussions regarding the best method and timing for seeking specific feedback from public service ratepayers.
Commissioner Plant, thoughts?
Yeah, that's fine. I agree with focusing on the reporting.
Commissioner Gelman?
I agree.
As do I. And I guess is there going to be an ABC order, or if there is, it can be ABC.
Right. Yeah, that was the last thing I was going to bring up, is whether we can do this as an ABC order from here on out.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Proceeding number 25M-0234G, Ms. Harper.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ruthie Harper of your Commission Council. This matter comes before the Commission for consideration of the petition for rulemaking of the Colorado Energy Office and the Air Pollution Control Division of the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. The petitioners request the Commission open a rulemaking and determine mass-based greenhouse gas emission reduction targets for gas utility clean heat plans for the year 2035. The legislature has already established clean heat targets for the years 2025 and 2030. The 2025 target is a 4% reduction as compared to a 2015 baseline, of which not more than 1% can be from recovered methane. And the 2030 target is a 22% reduction as compared to a 2015 baseline, of which not more than 5% can be from recovered methane. However, the legislature delegated to the Commission the task of determining the clean heat targets for the year 2035 and set a deadline of December 1st of this year for the Commission to set those targets. Specifically, Section 43.2-10810 directs the Commission to, in consultation with the division, determine these targets. The statute prescribes that in setting the targets, the Commission shall first ensure that gas utilities' greenhouse gas emissions will be in line with the residential, commercial, and industrial sector's contribution to statewide greenhouse gas pollution. And second, determine whether recovered methane may be used to reach the targets. The legislature has also delegated to the Commission the task of establishing targets for subsequent years 2040, 2045, and 2050. The statute directs the Commission to no later than December 1st, 2032, and again, in consultation with the division, determine the reduction goals for these years. And the statute also has certain directives for what to consider in setting those subsequent levels. Based on an analysis of historical data and statutory targets for statewide greenhouse gas pollution, the division proposes in the petition a 2035 target reduction of 41% from a 2015 baseline, which translates to a mass-based emission target of 5.27 million metric tons carbon dioxide equivalent across petition.
lost.
Oh,
Keep going, Ms. Harper. I lost you for a second, but you're back.
okay. The petition explained that this proposed target represents an extrapolation of the regulated gas utilities contribution to statewide greenhouse gas pollution in 2035 when using a linear regression of the historic contributions in the baseline year 2015 and the statutorily established contributions in 2025 and 2030. Finally, the petition recommends the commission at this time only set targets for the year 2035. It recommends the commission wait to establish further targets for years 2040 and beyond until it has more information about the gas utility's actual progress toward the targets for the years 2030 and 2035. Given the statutory deadline of December 1st of this year for completing the rulemaking, the petition requests the commission set a shortened notice and comment period so as not to further delay opening the rulemaking. But all of that said, what is for decision today is just the initial decision whether to accept the petition and issue notice to interested persons and whether to set a schedule for comments, which I would suggest as 1 week, June 11th for initial comments, and then another week, June 18th for reply comments. You can then take the decision back up, whether to grant it at your June 25th weekly meeting as a goal, unless it turns out that more time is needed to review the comments.
Commissioner Gelman.
Yeah, just a quick question for you, Ms. Harper. If there were topics in which we wanted to specifically highlight to solicit comments related to the petition, is that appropriate now, or would that be more appropriate at a later date?
That would be appropriate now, with the caveat to consider whether you would want the comments on the petition or you'd want to hold on to those comments for what you put, or if you want to hold on to that direction and put that into the NOPR and get comments in the rulemaking instead of in relation to the petition. So just something to think about.
I mean, I'm not prepared to give comments now, so we may need an opportunity on the 25th. Are you prepared, or do you have comments, Commissioner Gelman?
Well, there are just two specific areas related to the petition and the potential rulemaking that I thought would be helpful to specifically solicit comments for whenever the comment period is open. I think related to recovered methane, which people are probably going to comment on anyway, and kind of the limits therein, where the original statute had specific limits and how those should or could be determined, and its inclusion with the future targets, as well as the petitioner's suggestion that the later dates, post 2035, not be set in this rulemaking. Certainly this is invoked in a lot of our clean heat proceedings, kind of the uncertainty about where we are going in the longer term, and kind of how you plan in the short term may or may not be informed by where you're trying to get in the longer term. So curious whether it's now or at some later phase of this to specifically solicit comments about kind of the wisdom and pros and cons of not having those further out target dates set to help inform direction in the shorter term. So,
Mr. Davis.
Hi, I'm Ron Davis of the Commission's advisory staff. Council and advisors have been noodling with the type of changes that would be made to the Commission's rules governing clean heat plans. And the targets are set forth in a series of rules. And I think both of those topics that you just raised, Commissioner Gilman, are germane to what would be explored formally through the comment process in the rulemaking itself. The way I see this petition is really the question is rulemaking the right way for the commission to meet its obligations? in the statute to establish the 2035 clean heat target by the date in the statute. I think it will be very natural for the questions that you just raised to be fully explored, mainly because of the words that are in the rules right now and the way they would be modified to establish this 2035 goal. The recovered methane is part of that, and the amount that can be counted is there, and the rules also talk about the future targets as well. And so I just think naturally those areas will be explored in the rulemaking, and the commission will be able to highlight those questions again in the NOPR decision itself once it's issued.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I wasn't sure the right timing to bring up those issues that I know eventually will have to be explored, but to kind of ensure that we'll get comments eventually that are germane to those.
Right, and Ms. Harper, I hope I answered those questions correctly from the perspective of Commission Counsel.
Yes, you did. You said it better than I had attempted to.
I think
Okay,
Ms. Harper,
so it sounds like we'll hold off until an actual NOPR. If a NOPR is the route we go to post those questions to stakeholders.
Okay, Commissioner Plant, anything you'd like to add?
Nope, I agree with the recommendation.
As do I. Ms. Harper, does that give you what you need?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. Commissioner Gilman, anything else?
No, nothing additional. Thank you.
Commissioner Plant?
Nope, nothing additional. Thanks.
Thank you both. Thanks, everyone. With that, we're adjourned.